2 Cents Podcast. Hey, it's the 2 Cents Podcast. How you going?
Good, mate. How you going?
I'm actually pretty keen for this episode.
Yeah.
It's been maybe 3 weeks since we recorded last, but
With Josh and Jill.
I've been waiting to do this for a long time. I've been in contact with this bloke for about a month. He sent me various videos and photos, and it's an exciting thing, but also a very interesting topic to talk about. What the hell are you doing?
I'm trying to move. I can't see you. Sorry, mate.
So this bloke, I've known him since I was really little.
Yep.
I'd say as little as I can go. My dad is best mates with him.
Yeah.
They've hunted for I don't know how many years together. He's here to tell us about his story, his thorough and insightful story about his experience in the Vietnam War in 1968 as a war vet. He currently does and now travels to Vietnam. He works with the military 7 of the Binh Duong province. I'm not sure if I said that right. And he aims to recover more bodies that still need to be found moving forward.
Yep.
He's been all over the ABC News and recently won Best Documentary in Vietnam.
That's awesome.
In relation to the Vietnam martyrs.
Yeah.
Not sure if I said that right either. And he's had a spot on the hot seat as well, which is pretty interesting for the big fella.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a pleasure to have him. No one else I'd rather have on at the moment rather than John Bryant. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good, Luke. Good,
Was that a good one? Or?
That was a good one, Luke. That was a good one. Yeah.
Oh no, it's good to have you. I know we've been in discussions a fair bit about it. I'm pretty nervous, as you can tell, have you on, but
Don't be nervous, Luke. You know,
I was holding
I've
my
known
breath.
you a long time.
Yeah.
Young Jared over here. I just met him.
I guess I just want to paint a picture for everyone. It's our famous saying on this podcast, but I've known you since I was very little. You've known Dad for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, since probably the mid-90s we've hunted. I first met him up the bush.
How did you meet?
Well, he came up the bush and I was already going up there hunting and he joined the hunting crew, him and his mate Tony. And from then on, none of you kids were born then, I don't think.
I don't know. I was 98, Nash was 96.
Yeah. So he hadn't had any children then. But yeah, he's been going up all the time, and he's a good hunter, the old man, and a good worker up there. So we don't just go for the hunting; we have a lot of fun up there, and everyone sort of puts in. And you were coming up there when you were younger. And,
when I was very little.
Yeah,
I probably didn't come up after maybe 8 or 9. I think I said to Dad I was pretty bored hanging out in the bush, for hours and hours. And you've got some stories of me when I was little, just getting sick of being there. And you carried me out at one point of the bush while you were hunting.
Yeah, you were a fair way up the river and a fair way back to camp. And we'd shot some deer and we were carting them out. But my job was to look after you. And I was going, geez, fair dinkum, come on, Luke, hurry up, Luke. I'll cart you, Luke,
Yeah.
Put you down, and you're actually kicking a few rocks around, and I sort of looking at you thinking, geez, this bloke's all right, kicking them stones.
Yeah.
And get back to camp, and finally got back there, I think it was 3 days later, because that far out, and it took me that long to get you back there, and said to your old man, geez, this bloke might be able to play football one of these days. And merely, and so you and Ash, fantastic. It's been really good. We're just a good bunch of blokes up there and women.
Yeah,
It's like families go up there. Your mum's been up there.
Mum loves it. I know Mum does love going up there as well. Also, you've obviously we've had some moments together. We probably won't talk about them too much, but you've got a nickname, Fairy. Can you give us a rundown on how you got that as well for the boys?
Well, I have a few nicknames, and Fairy is one of them. I've had that since I was probably about 16.
Yeah.
So we had greyhounds right back then, and we had a racing greyhound. Its racing name was Miss Bryant.
Yeah.
It was a dainty little bitch and formed. well, that's the correct term. That's the correct term. Dainty little bitch, and so the old man nicknamed her Fairy. And so when I was going to school, I would write Fairy on all my books and and everyone they'd write Fairy because I was right into the greyhounds.
Yeah.
And, so the blokes at school, my schoolmates started calling me Fairy. Well, it doesn't sound like a great name, hey, Fairy, it's like, hey, there you go.
Yeah, like.
But I realised in in a couple of weeks I either had to accept it or, just go and, and just keep getting upset with them. So
Yeah.
it's stuck to this day.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite funny because when different hunters come up the bush and somebody will call out, your old man might say, hey, Fairy, and I'll just go, yeah, hey, what? It's just like saying, hey, John.
Yeah.
Some of these other hunters look and go, Fairy?
Yeah, like what's
Yeah.
what's that name?
And young Maddie said to me one day, how come they call you Fairy? I said, I don't know why they call me Fairy. well, he moved away.
I love
That
that.
would have stumbled.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, Maddie, he's just, we'll see you later. So, yeah, that's how, and that's how come I got the name Fairy. It stuck, and, Blake's 78 years old, and they still call me Fairy.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that stuck with me when I was little. I knew that you had that nickname, and I wasn't sure to this day how you got that nickname, but I'm glad you cleared it up for me. But I think the one thing Jared and I have been so keen about to talk about today is the Vietnam War and your experience. And obviously we've introduced you and said you've had lots of experience over in Vietnam now, recovering bodies and stuff like that. And it's obviously rewarding for yourself to do that sort of thing and giving back a bit. So I'm going to section this interview in 3. So I want to sort of paint a picture for everyone on how that was for you and then what you do now. And obviously the in-between.
Yep.
So, so I'm interested to know how it all started. So where were you drafted, or did you volunteer for the Vietnam War?
No, I was
how old were you?
I was a national serviceman. So back in those days, you had to be 21 before you voted.
Okay.
And when the Vietnam War started, or they called it the Vietnam conflict back then, males had to register by the time after their 19th birthday.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they go into a barrel, and it was a bit like taking out marbles, and if your birth date fell on whatever date it came out, that might be the 5th, 8th, 19th, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
You had to then report, and then they sort of sifted the chaff from the wheat sort of thing, and medicals and psychological things. And then if you were accepted, then you had to go in the army. So you had to do 2 years.
Yeah.
You had a choice. You could either go in the army for 2 years, or you could go to jail for 2 years. So,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
So they had conscientious objectors. So there was a few of those. And back in those days, they had moratoriums where people marched against, because they were against the Vietnam War, so they just hated us.
Yeah, okay.
Called us baby killers and rapists and all
Oh,
those sort of things.
Jesus, wow.
So different from, our fathers and forefathers that come home from war, they were treated like heroes. We were treated like maggots, So we had to wear that. So I went in the army in April of 1967.
Yeah.
And 10 weeks recruit training, and then 10 weeks corps training, which was infantry training for me. I got a battalion, which was the 3rd Battalion, 3 RAR.
Yeah.
And you do 3 weeks jungle training. So all the training from civilian life and through to jungle training is all about learning about weapons and how to handle yourself in the bush, and they meld you into one. So people come from different walks of life. They go into the army and they break you down.
Yeah.
And then they just bring you up as one, so that you can react as one.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you as well, do you think, so I was going to say, was your training adequate, and did you receive that military training? So you reckon that was good enough training for what you were meant to be prepared for going into the war, or?
Well, I think it was.
Yeah.
10 weeks recruit training. And then in the corps, they got about 23 corps in the army, and infantry is one of them. And so I had infantry, and so you go through the various stages, learn about weapons and things like that, and all about warfare, jungle warfare, etc. So that's all part of the training. I think the instructors were good. and you obviously had to realise that you had to put your life into your mate's hands, and vice versa,
and the same thing back.
So and then to Vietnam in the end of December until the end of 1968.
Yeah. So it was a long stint. Yeah. So prior to war, did you have any friends or classmates or anyone you knew who you served with? Like, did you go into that knowing anyone close by, or were you just on your lonesome sort of thing?
No, I just went in on my own. And you meet up with people. It doesn't take long to gel together. You're all in the same boat, and you're all getting abused by your instructors, because I don't think they do it now, but they would be in your face. They would be in your face, and they would abuse you, verbally, you're a dickhead, things like that. And you just had to take it, because their punishment, but everybody was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, I actually was able to, I just accepted that. I had actually been selected for officers training school, and I think that would be based on education, because I'd only basically just left school when I got called up.
Yeah, okay.
So I had a letter to present to Puckapunyal. When I went to Puckapunyal, I had to give that to some officer or somebody there of rank.
Yep.
To say that I'd been selected to go to Officers Training Unit at Skyville in New South Wales. That was a 21-week course.
Yep.
And which encompassed a 10-week training course for just a normal soldier, and then a core training. But at that stage, I thought I might go into the Army and might make the Army my career. So I thought that if I go to and become an officer, I actually wouldn't know what a digger felt like. So I'd rather become a digger, and then if I decide to stay in the Army, I would then take the next step and become an officer, hopefully. And then I would know exactly what it was like, just from a normal digger's point of view.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel that I had the knowledge to be able to lead then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I knocked that back, and so just went on, and sometimes days. Back in those days, you had to do picket every night, and so I'd only been in the Army a week or two. We got paid every fortnight. You had to do 2 hours picket at night.
Yeah.
And I had a shift that was like 12 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, right.
And everything's quiet and everyone's sleeping. And I'm thinking, I know, why don't I go and do me laundry? And so at Puckapunyal, they got a big laundry with coppers. It's like a washing machine, the old coppers. You boil it up. And they got big drying rooms. So I thought, beauty, I'll throw all my clothes in there.
Yeah.
My jumper and my socks and my greens, and I boil it up and I stir it up with a stick, and beauty, I hang them in the drying room. And I thought, in the morning, I'll come out and I'll get my clothes, and I've done. Instead of just wandering around the base looking for somebody to break in, I'll do me. Well, in the morning, I go to the drying room, and my greens were okay, but my jumper and my socks were that small they wouldn't have fitted a 3-year-old.
They shrunk.
They had shrunk. And so then that was a bit embarrassing. I don't know what happened, actually. And so I had to go to the Q store, buy the next jumper and a few pair of socks, and then take the ridicule from my, my instructors and also my mates, platoon mates. But, they said, don't you know wool shrinks? I go, well, Mum done the washing.
Hello.
But I'd never done it again.
It's always a fair excuse.
20 years old or 19 or 20, and I learned a lesson.
Yeah. Did you know anything about Vietnam as a whole before you went, to the war? Like,
not really. At school, it was the Indochina War, and didn't really know much about it. Wasn't interested, like a teenager, and we just went to dances, went out with. If I hadn't have done 2 years in the Army, I probably would have just stayed home. I probably would have gone out with bad women, gone to the pub, got drunk, got into fights.
Yeah.
At least I had 2 years, and they paid me to do that, so...
Yeah.
Typical Aussie.
Yeah.
In fact, after at Canungra, in Queensland, you had to be 21 to drink. In Victoria, you could be 18, But in Queensland, you had to be 21. So when...
Is that the law now? What's the law?
I don't know what the law is
It's
now.
still 18.
Still 18 in Queensland, yeah.
But so halfway through our doing a 21-day course of intense jungle warfare training at Canunga in Queensland, we got 1 day off. And so 3 other mates and I went to Enoggera to watch the King Shropshire Light Infantry drill. And then we went into Brisbane and we went into the pub. So the 4 of us go in the pub, we're in uniform. Barman says, "Can I help you boys?" We said, "Yep, four pots." And he said, "How old are you?" I said, "Well, we're 20. And he goes, "Well, sorry, boys, you
Can't have a drink."
You can't have a drink."
Mm.
I go, "What do you mean?"
Mm.
He goes, "You've got to be 21 in Queensland." I go, "You're joking." I
Bugger.
said, "Mate, we'll be in Vietnam in the next month or so." "Oh, I'm sorry, boys, it's the law, I can't serve you." We walked out of that pub. We didn't walk far to the next pub. Walked into that pub.
Said you were 21.
Walked in there. Barman asked the same question. "How old are you, boys?" The 4 of us together in unison, 21. He laughed and bought us a beer.
There we go.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. No, but I'm old enough to drink now, so that's okay.
Yeah, well, you bloody hope so. So obviously the last one before we move on. So do you have any? Because I don't know much about. I was even trying to ask the old man about this yesterday. I said, "How do I ask Jono this question?" But obviously the US were involved.
Yep.
So, do you have any opinions about the US involvement at the time? Like, obviously now it's finished.
Yep.
How do you sort of make of that?
Look, so I'm not political when it comes to that because there are people who are against the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
As they are now against like Palestine and Israel, and we're going to have people for and against, and Vietnam was a fairly contentious issue. So for me to go in the army, I had 3 blokes in my platoon killed and 7 other blokes that I knew, and they were killed in Vietnam. There are some Vietnam vets who will say that we should never have gone there. I don't say that. I don't adhere to that simply because if I feel that if I was to say that, then my mates were killed for nothing. And in my opinion, they didn't die for nothing. So the US were involved. South Vietnam, because it was North against the South, so like a civil war. Then South Vietnam asked America for help, and obviously under the treaty that we have with America, Americans, and then the South Vietnamese government asked Australia for help. So we sent, the Australian government sent a contingent of men over there. First they were advisors only to teach the South Vietnamese about war and how to fight, and then eventually it escalated more. The year I was there was the busiest time and the most, because I went through the Tet Offensive, and our first bloke was killed at the Tet Offensive, Bob Caston. So he was our first killed in the platoon.
Mm.
And we'd only been in country a few weeks, and when we first got there, it was basically check a few IDs in the rubber plantations. But when the Tet Offensive happened, it was like a fair income. Well, hello, these blokes are fair income. So that was our baptism of fire there, at the Tet Offensive, which the 1968 Tet Offensive. So we fought in the towns of Long Dien and Berea.
Fair enough.
Yeah, right. That's double up, triple up. Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what happened there.
So, so interestingly, that'll follow on to one of the questions that one of our mates wanted to ask you. So when you enlisted, hang on, I'm trying to...
Drafted.
Oh, drafted. When you were drafted, sorry.
I didn't go, hey, take me.
Yeah. No.
Pick me.
See, that's what I said before, Luke.
What's that?
About the draft and enlisting's a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to understand the
Sorry,
whole-
I'm just,
the thing about it. How do you display Ricky's question?
Oh, I don't
The
know.
reasons to...
I can't remember what he asked, sorry. He said it directly at you, so I wasn't really...
Oh, I'm trying to ask it in the right way, but that's all right.
Yeah, just ask it.
How have you written it down? Just
Don't worry, I wrote it silly. So what were the living conditions like?
Oh, well, they're fairly basic in the army.
Yeah.
They're fairly basic. And when you get to Vietnam, the 3RAR made the 3rd Battalion of the task force. So in the beginning, there were only 2 battalions there. When we went to Vietnam, we had to actually then build our huts and fill sandbags and dig our weapon pits and go down and concrete down to the concrete plant. And then in between that, we had to go out on patrols or ambushes, come back, and it was just full on. And we lived on rations. There wasn't an ounce of fat on us.
Yeah,
They
right.
never
You'd
fed
be
us.
ripped, wouldn't you? Yeah.
In the ration packs, they had like 4 pieces of dunny paper.
I was about to ask that.
Like 4 pieces of dunny paper, but somebody said
4
pieces.
4
I go,
pieces,
well,
yeah.
they never fed us, so we never shit. So, hello,
Yeah.
we used all our energy.
What did you eat? Like, what was the...
Oh, they had luncheon, but some stuff that was left over from the Second World War, I think. Luncheon beef and rice, and
You ever looked into a ration pack before?
Never.
No,
they're a bit different now.
Oh, they're a little bit different now, yeah.
They're different now, but back then they still had stuff left over from the Second World War.
Yeah.
You need energy, bloody hell.
And my old man was at Kokoda, so
Oh, okay.
so he was
Trail.
injured at Kokoda. I actually did Kokoda 2017 with my brother and my niece and a few other people. Yeah, so that was good. No, it wasn't good. It was freaking hard, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was contact like as well, being in the Vietnam War and then communicating with friends and family back then? Like, was that...
well, it was all letters. You write a letter.
Same thing as normal.
Just write a letter, and it was good. Sometimes they sent, Mum would send a cake, or your auntie or somebody would send a cake. We just share amongst ourselves in the platoon, and I would send over a box of Kool-Aid or something that we could put in our, because we only carried 2 water bottles for 3 days, so we carried enough rations for 3 days.
Yeah.
And only 2 water bottles, so
Yeah.
600 ml water bottles.
Are they like canteens or like...
Canteens, and then we had to shave in them.
So
We had
you'd
to
know
shave.
heaps about it too, because you got Trav, obviously.
Oh, I
done a
love
lot of
I love
military work as well.
Weird saying I love the war, but I studied it and had grandparents. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
uncles in the Air Force and all that.
yep.
So
Well, they don't work, the people in the Air Force.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into that.
They live in
but-
hotels.
I think Dad, just randomly, Dad was saying when my grandfather was 4 years old, he got held by like German soldiers or something in
Yeah.
1944 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And his family, I can't remember the full story, but like he was in a house that was owned by the German soldiers or something, and he was like not a prisoner, but
In Italy.
no, I can't remember where it was.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just interesting that you have family members that go through that sort of thing too.
That's,
But yeah, so what was your job assignment? Because I think we were talking about that today. We didn't know what that looked like for you.
So my job was a rifleman and scout. So I was a scout and a rifleman.
Yeah.
If I wasn't up the front, I'd be just a rifleman at the back. So it's pretty hard yakka in Vietnam. It's a pretty hot country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, you had some... see, it's a bit different hunting now, where we hunt today. They don't actually shoot back. We hunted back over there and they actually shot back at us. So,
Yeah.
but they were only soldiers doing what they had to do to defend their country, So
Yeah.
I have a different outlook on the Vietnamese now, obviously. Having gone back a few times and been involved in what I've been doing. But, yeah, my job over there was a forward scout or a rifleman.
So a scout, is that just assistance? And then, or is
Scout is the one who's up front.
Oh, right. Okay.
Looking out and...
Forward scout.
forward
Yeah,
scout,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. What was your daily routine like when you wake up?
Well, you had to. So it depends if we're talking Vietnam or in Australia. You had to get up at in Australia. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was Reveille.
Yeah.
Had to take the sheet off the bottom sheet off your bed so you couldn't Anzac it. You had to actually properly make your bed. And but in Vietnam, we got up. We had to do a 2-hour picket shift every night. but the picket shift varied. It started at 6 o'clock at night, 6 till 8, 8 till 10, etc., till 6 in the morning. So every night was a broken sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You might be on picket from 2 till 4, but somebody woke you up at 2 and said, it's your turn. And then if you were at camp, like I said earlier, we had to build our camp. So I might be down the concrete plant or filling sandbags. Then if we had to go on operation, all our gear was packed. We had all our ammo. And it was just a matter of if we had to go out, well, we could go out now.
Yeah, okay.
When we come back off an operation, depending how many, ammunition we'd use, be an NCO say, what do you need? I use one grenade and I use, a M72 rocket and I used, 40 rounds of ammunition or whatever the case may be, or none, or none. We might have had a contact. And then we prepared everything and we got rations again, and so everything was packed straight away.
Yeah.
And then generally if you're on operation, that night you got the night off. You go down the boozer and just get smashed.
Smashed.
Hello.
Every night.
Well, no. No, although there were times that we've gone out like, oh, God, you got to be joking. But I think any soldier that hasn't run 5Ks when he's drunk hasn't been a real soldier. So.
VB? No.
Yeah, I know. Well, I had VB on my hat all the time.
Yeah.
I had a little kangaroo and VB written on top of me. Or CUB, actually. I had Carlton in your mind.
CUB.
Breeze had that on my bush
Was
hat.
that like an old Melbourne or something, is it?
CUB, that's what I work for. Like the CUB company.
Yeah, Carlton
It's Carlton United Brewery.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I had
Yeah, that's what Carlton's actual brewery is called,
Yeah.
CUB. So any company distribute is under CUB.
Yeah.
The shit that you learn, eh?
Yeah, so that's why I
yeah.
have the Nina Pasadena and then it has CUB underneath.
Was that the shirt you're wearing at work
Yeah, that's
today?
my work shirt. Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, crikeys. Any injuries or wounds you got? 3 year time?
Yeah, well, I actually, after we'd come back from Fire Sport Base Balmoral, we got 2 days leave because it was, at Balmoral was pretty hectic and we were under attack, so they were pretty big battles. In fact, they were the biggest battles in the Vietnam War that the Australians had been involved in. And so they gave us 2 days leave, so we went to Vung Tau and just got drunk. I can't actually remember what happened there because I would have been smashed.
Yeah.
But on the way back, I was riding shotgun in the truck, and the truck was empty, but I was riding shotgun there, and it rained. It was the wet season, and it rained heavy. And I said to the service corps bloke driving the truck, hey, mate, slow down. This is pretty... And he started going on about, you grunt starter, you don't know what... Anyway, he rolled the truck.
Oh.
So the truck's rolled up and it's on its roof, and I've got my hand and my arm jammed in there, and they eventually cut me out and chopped me to the hospital in Vung Tau. They cut all my uniform off, and they just got scissors and they cut everything off. Started to cut me boots. I said, don't cut me boots, mate. Well, they filled me out with morphine. So I just remember my experience with morphine. It was like I sort of had an out-of-body experience. Looking down at myself, I could feel the pain, but I didn't give it two stuffs, That's what it felt like. Cut me boots. Says, don't cut me boots, mate. So it's okay, Digger, you'll get a new pair. I didn't want a new pair. I broke these ones in,
Yeah.
I'm a foot soldier. Anyway, the padre come around and gave me the last rites, and I'm a Catholic, and I'm thinking, geez, this is not good.
Yeah.
I'm getting the last rites. Yeah. Like, that's before you take the next step to go and see St. Peter.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, this is not looking good for Jono. But anyway, that didn't happen, and a little bit there. I could have come home. I had a ticket home there for the injury, but I still had mates in Vietnam, and I wasn't going to leave them.
Yeah, straight away. So there was no as such battlefield injuries. It was just more like self-inflicted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, it wasn't self-inflicted. This service car.
They caused it. Yeah,
they caused it. So I got a back injury out of it, and I've got a few screws and a couple of rods in there, and but that's okay. And so I managed to survive that. Apart from the odd mosquito and wasp bite, bit of sore,
How did you react compared to, like, say, a mozzie bite over here? How would you react? Would it stay on your skin for a while, or?
Yeah, well, the
you're in a foreign
leeches and that. Yeah, well, so in the wet season, the mozzies are like Cessnas.
Yeah.
What's that? What's that?
Cessna aeroplane.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Sorry. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're loud.
And
very loud.
we got to be quiet in the bush, and to be able to like this in the Aussies in the wet season, it's rain and
You just hear slapping in the distance. Yeah.
Fellow, and swearing, and then of course the leeches and that were there, and they'd come up and they'd sort of look around and.
How would you get a leech off if you
burn them off?
Oh yeah, burn them off.
Burn them off, and because they're only little thin things, but all of a sudden they're big and they're on your groin, they're in your boots.
Oh,
so
like leeches.
Yeah, so and you don't wash. So like we were out in operation for, I think 40-something days was the longest time. So we don't wash or anything like that. So.
Oh yeah.
A lot of us end up with tropical acne and that, and your clothes basically rot off you. But the good thing about being a forward scout is I could rip my shirt or my greens, and they would fly me out a new set.
Oh yeah.
And I'd go, oh, beauty, I got clean greens, and I better rip that shirt.
There's nowhere like a lake or anything to wash off or anything like that?
No, we're in the jungle.
Swamp. It'd be swampy.
No,
but there was no. Yeah, but there was no
no
anything at all.
in the dry season.
You know what a jungle is?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
So in the jungle, sometimes I wouldn't be able to. Sometimes, Luke, I wouldn't be able to see you. That's how close the jungle was sometimes.
Yeah, right.
So depending on the country, how close you had to be to your next bloke in front of you.
Yeah, wow.
How would you clean? How would you get clean to a degree, like at all?
Well, you didn't. You just because you had 2 bottles of water.
That's it.
You had to use that for 3 days, and then you'd have to shave. And most of us we didn't really shave. But you had to shave, and some battalions didn't shave, but our battalion we had to shave. I don't know why.
Why did they make you shave for?
Oh, I suppose to look good if they shot you or something. Oh, he looks cool. I don't really know. I don't really know.
Is that to distinguish people?
It could just be a battalion.
No, that was just the battalion rule sort of thing. It's all discipline. The army is full of discipline.
So you had to use a little bit of water just to wash your.
Well, no, I wasn't going to use that for a wash.
So you had to use the water to shave your face, but you couldn't wash clean your body.
Yeah, you had a canteen.
That's so silly.
And then you would put a little bit of water in there and soap, and then soap it up with a brush and shave, right? And then you just wipe that out with your sweat rag, and then clean that, and then you just cook boil your billy, make a coffee or a tea, or boil up some rice or whatever in that. You just wipe that out with your sweat rag, those, well, they call it scrim, I think, these days.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and everyone was in the same boat.
Yeah.
So, and then you just had to, depending on the country, you just had to, if it's really thick jungle or tiger bamboo, it's really hard yakka getting through it. And that was the hardest part about being up front as a scout, trying to get through the jungle first.
Yeah, because,
it was thick, and by the time last bloke went through, it was, okay, but...
all trampled down by everyone else.
Yeah, definitely didn't mean to ask a question so stupidly. I didn't think...
No, it's not a stupid question.
I didn't know if you could wash yourself to a degree, or there was some sort of like bed bath or something that you, or some sort of cleaning degree.
We're not in the Air Force.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, they're looked after.
Yeah,
that's a bit different. Though.
Yeah, of course.
They pack for the air though. You know what I mean?
So the Navy. They're on the ship.
Yeah, it's a bit like barrack for a football team, isn't it? You just have a go at the other side, the Air Force and the Navy. All in good fun.
Yeah.
We need them all, we need everyone.
100%, yeah.
But we're the most important.
Yeah, so you obviously made some close friends during
still have them, yeah.
Still got them now, and what was like your leisurely fun on base or whatever, like what would you do? Was there any sort of... to keep yourself occupied?
Yeah, sort of a bit strange because we'd come back up an operation and they'd be serious, these operations, and you come back to camp, like I said before, you resupply everything, and for those who've been on the operation, you could go down to the wet canteen, the boozer, and have a few beers and that, and I used to watch these blokes, and I'd be looking at these blokes and they're like little kids, they were just, well, I've got to go out in the bush with these blokes, but the next day they would just switch straight on.
Yeah, like
the
attitude
transformation
change.
of being an idiot and a dickhead, and just what you blokes would be doing the same thing, just carrying on.
Yeah.
But then the next day when you stepped outside the wire and, you had to jam around in your breech, and there it was like this is fair income stuff.
Yeah.
And those blokes just went from being, stupid little, well, I thought, like, kids to men.
Yeah, slouch hats on, working hats.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're all like that. And my army mates here, we're a family.
Yeah.
We've all been through the same thing. We've had our mates killed, etc. We're all there for each other all the time. It's just, it's been good, and they'll still be here, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're dropping off the tree. We're thinning, the ranks are thinning, what I mean? Like, I'm nearly 78.
You're still
so,
healthy and fit though, mate. Like, still doing well.
until, I'm just hanging around to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not for, a couple more card outs, then,
Yeah.
maybe I go to the bush with your old man again a couple of times.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. It's about time he looked after me. I've been looking after your old man for years.
Yeah. Well, he's going to watch this video, mate. So he'll see you towing.
Funny story with your old man and Tony.
Yeah.
I got some secateurs and cut through the blackberries up the bush. So it's come Christmas time. So my missus and I, we coming back from somewhere, and I bought 2 pair of secateurs. Drop in and see Emilio. Where are you, Emilio? He was at your nonna's place, right? Yeah, we're here. So we go along there, and I said, here's a Christmas present for you, Emilio. He goes, oh, you got me a Christmas present? You got me a Christmas present? And I said, well, actually, the Christmas present's for me.
Yeah.
The secateurs, you walk in front. So you cut the blackberries, I'll walk behind, and then your nonna and your grandfather, they just put on a spread. I don't know, what is with you Italians? It's like oh, it's a famine. So she just filled the table up with food, and we took luckily I had a ute because I couldn't put the stuff in the car.
Well, the best way Dad described it the other day was, it's so true though. It's like when you have dinner that, like when you need to cook for 3 or 4 people, she'll cook for 12.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's Jared
makes you
that.
eat for 20.
Yeah, literally. Makes you eat for 2 weeks. So
I experienced it not long ago.
Yeah,
I said to him, I'm not visiting your parents anymore.
Yeah, because you.
I have a look. I put 4 kilos on.
You will. That's why.
I put on a kilo that night. I had the roll out.
Yeah, and it's
good
not
food. It's beautiful.
It's
food.
not one meal. It's like 5 or 6 meals in the one night.
You're halfway through your plate, and they're like, "You want some more?
You want pasta? You want meat?
Yeah, and then take it all home.
Yeah, and take it home because I can't keep it in my fridge.
Yeah,
that's basically.
I know.
It goes.
Yeah, no, it's good. No.
Well, speaking of like meals, I thought I'd just like change up a little bit. So, obviously you've been in Vietnam now. You've experienced a fair bit, and the culture and all that sort of stuff. If you had to say like what your favourite Vietnamese dish is, what would it be?
I really like pho or pho.
Pho.
Oh, pho.
Pho.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that. It's a noodle soup.
Yeah, just a noodle
chicken
soup. Yeah,
or beef before. Or both. But yeah, no, I eat quite a variety of either rice or noodles or something.
Yep.
And so there's some food I can't eat, and I'm thinking how do they eat that? But they do. They love it.
Yeah, I know a lot of Asian cultures, they eat things like chicken feet and bloody.
Yep. No, I don't. New loves chicken feet, chicken heads. Rice. What are you having? Rice and fish heads. Oh, great.
Fish heads.
Oh, I can't wait.
Fish heads.
Fish heads.
I think I'll just get a bag of chips. She's a good cook. You's a good cook. So.
Yeah. No, that's all right. How did your so? Yeah, we'll move on to the last bit, but how did your attitude change? Obviously, during the war, as it was going on, obviously you experienced your hygiene was different. You had to adapt to the climate. Yeah. How did that all sort of...
Well, hygiene is imperative in the bush. You had to try to be as clean as you could be in the bush, because if you get sick, everyone gets sick.
Yeah.
And like even hunters in the camps and things like that, you need, obviously you have to make the best of your ability to keep yourself clean. And it's really hard under those conditions. Obviously, you're not like that when you come back.
Yeah.
Bush hygiene is imperative for your own health and the health of your platoon mates.
Yeah. How was your attitude as well, like going through the whole experience? Like,
so my attitude
bad days or anything like that?
So I'm sort of over that, really. I think I'm fairly well adjusted. But for a few years there, when I came home, I would drink and fight till I got to the stage. I thought, well, I've got to give this up. And I got 4 kids and or 3 kids at the time, 3 kids and a business, and I can't keep this up, because the attitudes of the Australian, even in families and mates and that, I had schoolmates and they were against the Vietnam War, so it's really hard. And when you come home from war, your mates are the same. They've just gone from one thing to another, and they've had a ball, and they're talking things like, "Oh, we went to Drags last week," or "We went to a party here," and you're like, "Well, I was in ambush last week."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you have changed; they haven't.
Yeah.
And so things were really strange. In fact, we weren't liked actually by a lot of people. Of course, a lot of people did like us. But I came home on R&R and I went to the Southern Cross Hotel in Melbourne. It was a relatively new hotel.
What's R&R?
Rest and recuperation.
Oh, okay.
So I had 5 days leave from Vietnam. And so I thought I'd get my wife to come into Melbourne, spend the night at the Southern Cross Hotel. It was a pretty big hotel.
Yeah.
I was in uniform and I had one ribbon, and I go in there and had a doorman there. So I go in, and he stepped in front of me, and I was a bit dishevelled and that from the overnight flight. And he could see that I had a uniform on, but we had short hair then. But back days because when I went in the army, I had shoulder length hair.
Yeah.
And of course that didn't last long. And I went to go into to get a room, and he stopped in front of me and he said, "Sorry." I said, "I'm just going to get a room." He said, "No, there's no rooms here, mate. They're full." I go, "It can't be full, mate. It's a huge hotel. It's not there anymore." And he said, "No, it's full." I said, "I'll go and check." And he stepped in front of me again. And I was really feeling a bit insecure. I never had a weapon on me. I didn't have my rifle, and I felt out of my comfort zone. I was back in Melbourne, mind you, but I was really out of my comfort zone.
Right.
I'm not feeling too good here. I want me rifle. And, he wouldn't let me in. I stepped back on the footpath and looked up, and I thought, "That can't all be full, mate. I'll just go and check." He said, "Go somewhere else, mate."
Wow.
So I just caught the train, went back to Dandenong.
Yeah.
And, of course, I wouldn't do that now. I realised later that he would have been a person against the Vietnam War, and you're not coming in here. You know.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen today, of course.
Yeah.
But back then, you're only 20 years old. I think I just turned 21.
Yeah.
And, you have respect for your elders and all those sort of things. And really, I was a fish out of water when I come back home. And I think most Vietnam vets were all the same. It was just different. A lot of people hated us.
Yeah.
Going to the RSL was, mate, you weren't in a real war, things like that. So we just had to wear it,
Is there, I don't know how to ask this question the right way, but why shouldn't it happen? Why shouldn't the Vietnam War happen? Is there a reason for that? Or I don't know the full...
So Vietnam was split into two.
Yeah.
There's North Vietnam and South Vietnam. So if you think of, say, New South Wales and Victoria, it's the same bit of land.
Yeah.
But the North Vietnamese were under sort of communist rule.
Yeah.
The Vietnam have been fighting for, a couple of thousand years. The Chinese for about 900 years took them over, and then the French took them over, and then during the Second World War, the Japanese came in and treated the Vietnamese like crap. The French treated them like crap. I don't know why, because they're beautiful people. But we had to just do what soldiers do, We just soldiered on, and so it was North against South. So the North were under communist rule, and they wanted Ho Chi Minh wanted to, take over the South and make it just one country, which it is now.
Yeah.
Because they've ended up winning the war in, I think the 30th of April 1975 ended the war, what they call the American War.
Yeah.
So it's called the American War, and since 1975 they've been one country.
Yeah.
Yep.
But after 1975, the Cambodians thought, well, we'll have a bit of a lash. The Vietnamese have been fighting. Their ranks are depleted. They've got no food. They've got nothing. Well, we might as well have a crack now and so we can take part of the Mekong. So that war lasted probably 10 years with them. I mean,
Oh wow.
so
Okay.
the poor old Vietnamese, you've got to give it to them. They've been hammered. So there's probably still a slight division in South Vietnamese people and that, but they accept that they're just one country. So, and like I said, I'm not political.
Yeah.
I like Vietnam. It's a great place.
Yeah.
The people are great.
Definitely, I definitely want to go over to Vietnam for the
Yeah.
history side of it
I do
as
wanna go
well.
over
They've got a lot of history.
Is there a memorial in Washington or something?
There is
Have you been there? Have you?
I haven't been there. The
Haven't been
wall,
there?
there's about 50,000 names on that wall. We have a wall down at Seymour and of the blokes that there. My name's engraved into that wall.
Yeah.
Went down there one day and I looked, oh yeah, that's me. There's a couple of other Bryants around too, but and then I didn't go back to Vietnam till 2007.
Yeah.
Went back. I'd been asked to go back, but I thought, well, what do I want to go back there for? I mean, there was nothing happy over there for me. I mean, people just shot at me, I mean, hello.
Mm.
So I eventually went back with my machine gunner, Paul Donnelly. And he's a great bloke, and we've been back a heap of times now. And we'll actually be going back next September, next month. And the first time we went back, and then I think we only went for about 10 days or something. And then whilst we were there, we saw Vietnam in a different way. We didn't go bush. No one shot at us. We didn't have to shoot back.
Mm.
The people were nice. And we're like, oh, they got a different culture. You have to, when in Rome, so we had to accept that, different food, different this, different that.
Mm.
But we accepted that, and we were trying to accept it all. And so Paul said, we'll come back next year for a couple of weeks. No, 2-3 weeks. Oh, we'll come back for a month. So we went back for a month, and I've been going back. I've probably been back 23-4 times now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of times
Mm.
to go there. Yeah. Well, I think I'll just want to cover the last bit of it, which is what you do now after the war, after everything's sort of settled. But I guess what I want to ask is just as a mindset thing too, especially for people who have had experiences in military and stuff like that, but also just in general. What's the biggest challenge that you experienced during that time that you were there?
Staying alive.
Yeah. So obviously,
that was our job: stay alive and keep your mates alive.
Yeah.
I was an infantry soldier, so the various corps have their various roles to play, and as an infantry soldier, that was our job to make sure that our job was to seek out and close with the enemy, to capture or kill the enemy, and to hold the terrain in all sorts of weather, whether it be raining or heat or whatever. That's the job of an infantry soldier.
Yeah.
And we just did what we had to do. If you were in trucks or tanks or something, every single corps is important.
Yeah.
And so I liken it to say like a bicycle wheel with all the spokes. Every spoke is important for that wheel, and if you take one spoke out, then it weakens the wheel. So if we didn't have a pay clerk, then we couldn't get paid.
Yep.
We didn't have a postal clerk, we wouldn't get a letter.
Yep. Or send them. Yeah.
Or send them. So, we all had jobs to do, and the job of an infantry soldier is to kill the enemy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try not to be killed,
Anything you want to ask him before we move on?
I was actually about to say, what was your emotions and how did it feel to actually, I can say that lightly, to shoot someone? I don't want to say kill, to shoot someone.
Look, it's just, I think I have thought about it, of course, and to kill somebody is you take away everything they ever had.
Mm.
Everything they're ever likely to have, You just took everything away.
Yeah. I get it was your job because, if you didn't shoot them, they would shoot you. So,
but you couldn't let it play on your mind.
Yeah.
If you let it play on your mind, you really shouldn't be a combat soldier.
Yep, that's
So
correct.
you really had to get into a different mindset. Obviously, I don't think that way now, but there would be some people that couldn't handle it, and therefore they got shifted to somewhere else. But I think it takes special kinds of blokes to become a combat soldier, to be shot at or to shoot at. And I suppose the easiest thing is to kill somebody. The hard part is to live with it.
Yeah, live with it. Yeah,
Okay.
of course it will be.
You know, so people have asked me, and I've had my nephews, did you kill anyone? I go, oh no, I was the world's worst shot, you know. But,
How do you go shooting a deer?
I live with your old man.
Are you better than Dad?
Everyone's better than your dad. Hello.
He's going to hate hearing that as well.
Oh, no. But he'll know it's true. It's true, Emilio. I go, I call him one day. Emilio, it's your mother calling. He's a good bloke, your old man. Your mum like it, the whole family, actually. Luke's not that good, but yeah.
Well, let's move on to the last bit. Afterwards, so the final question I want to ask, or the few questions I've got. So after the war, so how did you, you obviously gave us a bit of a rundown of how you readjusted to everything. You obviously come back, R&R, and everything was a bit different for you mentally. But how did you readjust the best way to society when you come back? How did you make everything your normal again? And
I think I drank for a few years until I got to the stage where I decided to stop drinking. I haven't drank for about 47 years now.
Oh, wow.
Then I was able to put things into perspective. I probably was angry with the way I got treated and the way people don't understand, and you have all these thoughts, etc. I just got to the stage I think I was only early 30s, maybe 31 or 32 or something or other, and I just stopped that.
Yep.
And then I was able to adjust. And if I had a bad night or something, I could think more clearly how I was going to do it. And I would put things in boxes and just sort of, and when they come out, I might have a look or something and put that thing back. So I think I've adjusted fairly well. There are times, even when I go hunting now, that I find it funny that if I want to have a crack in the bush now and go hunting, I switch straight on, because I never wanted to get shot while I was having a crap in Vietnam. I thought how embarrassing that would be. So even when I'm hunting and I go for a crap, I am switched on. And I'm like, well, there's no VC here, but just in case there is, I don't want to get shot. It's just weird. It's just, they're dumb little things. And it stays with me, It's so some things stay with you. But and I think I might have this wrong, but I think there are about 2,500 blokes committed suicide, Vietnam vets. We lost 520 overall, killed in action, etc. And but there are about 2,500 committed suicide. There's still soldiers and personnel that are committing suicide now. Yeah. But I think but it's a bit different today, because they can go and get they can go and see a shrink. In my day, they just, here's your pay, see you later, mate. You deal with it. Yeah. So and people had to deal with it, and to step back into society after doing what we did is really, really hard. Your mates. I mean, I went to a bucks turn and dropped 5 of my mates because they called me a baby killer and had a few beers and you're on drugs and rapists and all that sort of thing. So that ended the bucks turn. I had to apologise to the wedding, to the groom the following week. But later on, I thought to myself, well, I don't know why I apologised to him, because I didn't think I was in the wrong. But at the time, and
they wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't have understood what you went through,
and they're not supposed to understand. They don't know, and it's very hard to talk to civilians like your mates. That's why it's so easy to talk with our army mates. We don't talk worries or anything like that. We're just all full of shit, just like anybody else. But and even soldiers today, army, air, navy, any of the ones of the services that go in to see action, and and even the ones of today, they sign the blank check. They can have everything, even our life. So when you serve in those forces, you know, they sign the blank check. You can have everything I got, even my life, you know, for the country. You know, so it takes special types of people to join, and men and women, of course, boys and girls to join any of the services.
Yeah.
You've got to be cut out for it, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a decent answer I got back, actually. Very thorough.
I should have made it shorter.
What's the GI Bill? Were you any personal benefit of that? What's that? What was the GI Bill? Did you?
Well, the GI is the Yankee, so that's
So
a
that
general
didn't
issue.
Yeah.
No, we got nothing. I think I got paid in Vietnam. I think it was $107 a fortnight. Yeah, that was our pay.
That's
No
a
tax.
shitload of money.
They go, you got no tax. You don't have to buy any clothes. The boss said to me, well, you know, I whinged. I said, well, you know, you get $107 a fortnight. He said, you don't have to buy any food. You don't have to buy any clothes. No dental, no medical. I said, oh, that's fine, but I'm getting 40 quid a week in Civic Street. No one's shot at me. I come over here. Everyone wants to kill me. He goes,
right.
You're an ingrate, mate. So, yeah, just look. You got to really have a bit of humour about you. You know, you've just got to deal with it. It's as simple as that. You have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And you got mates that can help you because they're all in the same boat.
They've all been there. Yeah.
You know, it's pretty hard to go and talk to a civvy mate when he doesn't understand, but you can talk to an army mate. And I think today, even those personnel that are in any of the services, if they're having a problem, they need to talk to somebody, and they need to talk to somebody that's actually in their group and so that they can understand. So if you're in the Navy having a problem, well, they always have a problem. You can just talk to.
Did you chat to anyone coming back, like years after? Did you see anyone cancel?
Yeah, no, we had our mates and that, so we'd see them, but you know, you got to get on with life.
Yeah.
And they're getting on with life and getting married and having kids and working and that, so you sort of, you know, split go your own way.
Are they from all over Australia, or are they?
Yeah, I've got mates all over Australia. Yep. Yeah, but all the ones. In fact, I'll be seeing them on Friday. I'll be going down there Friday to the Waverley Garden Shopping Centre to sell some badges because it's Vietnam Veterans Day on Sunday. So I'll drive down. So I'll drive down there. You and I'll drive down there about 6 o'clock in the morning, sell a few badges, have some lunch with the boys, and drive back home again.
Oh, it's a perfect time to do this episode. You know, coming up to the Veterans Day.
So 18th of August is.
Yeah, of course it is.
Well, 18th of August is the Battle of Long Tan,
and
they used to call it Long Tan Day, but then they call it Vietnam Veterans Day. So, So we'll sell a few badges and I'll catch up with me mates, and they're all good blokes. We'll have a laugh, you know.
Yeah. So a couple more. So did you have any regrets from your experience in war? Like, anything you regret not doing, or I don't know?
Well, I don't know what sort of a bloke I would have been if I hadn't gone in the army. You know, obviously I have a different tack in life, but
would have been optimistic at that point, probably.
You know, so and jobs were back in those days. Jobs were easy to get, except if you hadn't been deferred from the army. And so the jobs I wanted to get, they said, mate, you haven't been deferred, so bad luck. Come back when you see us, of course. Then you go to war, and your outlook is different. And but no, I don't have regrets. I actually enjoyed my time in the army.
Yeah.
I wish I had stayed in. I do wish I had stayed in. But the boss said to me, was I going to sign up? And I said, you got to be joking. As soon as I get home, mate, I'm out of here. But I didn't really fit in. I was married at the time. I got married about 3 weeks before I went to Vietnam. And if I hadn't been married, the best year of my marriage, actually, I never had one blue with the missus. I was gone for 12 months, so how could I blue with her? But if I hadn't been married, to be quite honest, if I hadn't been married, I would have looked for a battalion to go straight back to Vietnam because I felt...
obligated.
Well, not obligated, but I felt more comfortable in Vietnam in war.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I was misunderstood here by, you know, and... You know, a lot of people didn't, and it split up families and everything. The Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So I would have found a battalion that was going straight back to Vietnam.
You realised it was your calling over there and stuff like that.
Well,
You just felt
no,
like you
I
fit
felt,
in, or
even though it was hard yakka, etc., and then it's a life or death thing, I would have felt more comfortable being there than being back here.
yeah, that's fair enough.
But I was married, so had to just put up with that.
Yeah, put up with
no,
it.
not really.
So how long exactly were you over there for?
I did a full tour, so yeah, nearly 12 months.
So
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just to clear this up as well, what's Agent Orange, and what was your view on that one?
So Agent Orange is it's a chemical that they sprayed to defoliate the trees, etc.
Yeah.
Because the VC, etc., lived in wherever they lived in the jungle. So whatever intel they had, they said, we'll go and spray this area. That would kill off all the leaves and that. So that would expose them. So they'd have to move, So, and I never really heard about Agent Orange until about 1986 or something like that. And somebody said, have you been affected by Agent Orange? And I go, I don't even know what that is, mate.
Yeah,
but
right.
we would go into an area sometimes, you go, oh, geez, I just sprayed this joint, But we didn't actually know what it was.
The chemical,
The chemical, and but I have actually been affected by Agent Orange. I have a lung problem from Agent Orange. I was diagnosed about 35 years ago. So that's why up the
So
bush
that would have
sometimes.
just sat in the air while you were
it's
there.
it's a thick gas.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, say, Roundup. You go and spray Roundup everywhere and kills everything off. And that's what Agent Orange was for, to defoliate areas, large areas.
They'll be in trees and stuff like that, and then in their little bunkers that are covered by leaves. And
So did you go to like a local GP and find that out, or did you find that out?
Yeah. So probably about 1990 or something, I was really battling, and
just coughing up everywhere.
and she thought I had some sort of a cancer, and which is like a viral type cancer type thing in the lungs. So I'm on top of it now, but when I go hunting and that, I don't have the steam. So if I'm walking up a hill or something, I have to stop. But that's okay. I just stop and I get my breath back 30 seconds and away I go again.
I might be able to walk further than you this time.
I bet you can't carry me. That'll be fun. You'll need some screws in your back.
I will, yeah.
You might be the one kicking the rocks this time instead of Luke.
Yeah, as long as I don't kick the bucket.
Oh, no.
No, that's actually really funny.
Wasn't that funny?
No, it's funny how we just come up with that. But so obviously you've had a big experience now, and obviously, you're doing a lot in Vietnam at the moment with them. You're going back soon, are you?
Going back in September, because my sergeant who was killed there, his sister, and I've been in touch with their family since the mid-90s, so my sergeant's sister and husband are doing a tour next month, and I know the spot where her brother was killed.
Oh, wow.
So she wants to go back there. So my machine gunner, Paul Dunley, he's going back, and Brian Cleaver, who was one of the other blokes that first started the search for these bodies, he's already in Vietnam now. So the three of us will take Liz and her husband out to the exact spot where her brother was killed, and we'll be able to explain to her this is where Joe got. His name's Peter, but we called him Joe Lewis, where he was killed, and we can say this is exactly where Joe was killed, how he got killed, etc.
Wow.
And that's May the 12th of 1968. So I'm going back for that. I have to come back because I've got to MC the Australian Deer Association's Hunters Dinner on October the 4th, so I'm only shooting over there for a couple of weeks sort of do that. And I've got to be interviewed in, I've got to go to Hanoi because some press over there, international press or something, is going to do something there, so I've got to go to Hanoi to do that or something.
Yeah.
Not sure. So see what happens there, because all this has become apart because of the bodies we've just recovered at Balmoral,
Yeah. So you got a busy few months coming up from the sounds of it.
I haven't been up the bush hunting this year at all, so...
You reckon you'll get down there or not?
Oh, I need to get up there for a week, and New's been wanting to go up there and shoot a deer.
Yeah, right.
So I just said, well, I'll shoot the deer and you cart it out,
No, that's good. That's good. We'll definitely wrap it up now, but I think just one for the viewers. So, was there any lessons that you learnt from your experience in the war and that you carry through your life now to get you on, sort of thing?
Well, war is no good.
No, definitely not.
There's no good. There's no good in war. But I always think that there'll always be war, because there'll always be a Pol Pot or a Idi Amin or a Adolf Hitler. There'll always be somebody else.
Yeah.
And there'll be always countries wanting to defend themselves. So whilst war is no good, it affects young people. It affects the whole families, actually. So it affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, we have to have them. And I think, like Australia has to prepare for war if we want peace. You must prepare for war if you want peace.
Yeah.
You can't just think, oh, she'll be right. Oh, I don't want to fight anyone, because there'll be someone that wants to fight you.
Yeah.
So 100%. You must prepare for war.
Yeah.
So I think that, but, that's only my thoughts,
Yeah.
And the thing that we've just done and found these 20 martyrs in Vietnam has been fantastic in Vietnam.
Yeah, that would have been really rewarding as well.
100 million people in Vietnam, and they all know about it. They're all up. And the two sisters I met, and they were the sisters of a martyr that was killed there, and I just give them a hug. And at the funeral, it was really fairly humbling for me over there.
Yeah.
And the respect shown to me by Military 7 and by all the Vietnamese, and so we located those people, and Luke Johnson and Glenn Hines and New. We all had and Brian Cleaver, who first started it, looking for him, even though he was in the wrong spot. In 2019, General Tai asked me whether I could take it up and have a look, so I did. And we just found him in April the 1st, actually.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day. So, and then it took a week to take 20 bodies out of the one crater, and they washed all the bones and everything like that, and put them in a casket. And I got to, reflect on the battle and salute the enemy.
Yeah.
And also reflect on the blokes not my blokes personally, but Australians that were killed, my mates that were killed there. So it was sort of inwardly trying to deal with both sides, that I was more than likely responsible for some of those deaths, and had to also think about our mates that were killed too. So I think I'd handle it. I teared up a few times.
Oh, of course you would have. Yeah.
Our ambassador, Andrew from Hanoi, Andrew Zanowski, standing next to me at the funeral and when the casket. And I started it. He said to me, because the two old ladies were about 84, 86, the sisters.
Yeah.
They were crying and wailing, and so it sort of gets at you. And then Andrew, our ambassador, said, "How you holding up there, John?" Well, I just lost it then, so I got the handkerchief out, and a minute or so later, cleaned myself up, and I said, "Well, it's going all right." You asked me that, Andrew, but he's under his hands under his glasses, cleaning his eyes, so it was quite moving. And the sisters just come up and thanked me for finding their brother, who'd been missing for 56 years.
A long time.
Some people thought, oh, maybe they want to stab me, but they didn't know. They just come up and in Vietnamese, "Oh, come on you," and just took my arms and thank you. And I just put my arms out and embraced them and hugged them, and so that's a really good feeling for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
and that's going to be ongoing. It's a wet season now, but there are more bodies to be found, and hopefully we'll locate some of them next year.
Yeah,
that'll be awesome. Yeah, well, just for the viewers as well, Jono's personally sent me a link to a documentary that was on ABC, wasn't it? So
No, it was on over there. It's there.
Oh, over in Vietnam.
It's in Vietnam, yeah.
So it's a specific documentary that you did over there.
Well, I didn't do it. The filmmaker did it.
Yeah.
I just happened to be part.
Yeah.
And you and Luke and So
yeah,
we're all in looking for the same, achieve the same results. So it took, it took us all. It just didn't take me. It took a few of us to actually locate these. And Luke Johnson, his father was a Vietnam vet. I didn't know him. He was in A Company.
Yeah.
We hooked up, and he's a really good young bloke, and and we all had an input to the end result, and found these 20 bodies.
Yep.
6 or 7 metres deep.
So you'd be happy for us to get the link out there so people can have a watch?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, and you got some photos we'll put up on our social media pages and on my Facebook as well to show, what Jono's been doing and the past photos of when he was in war and stuff like that.
Yep.
So massive privilege to have you on.
100%.
No.
It took its time because it's obviously more of a questionnaire, but it's just interesting that we got to talk to you about that. I've never asked you personally. Obviously, I haven't seen you for ages. So it's good that you've informed me of all that sort of stuff.
Out again.
Mate, I was probably about 25, 30 kilos.
I'm still carrying your old man.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying him like Dingo, but I'm carrying him very, I'm helping him shoot the deer.
Yeah.
Make out that he shot it.
Yeah.
I shoot it.
Good shot, Emilio.
Yeah. I get on the road. Good shot, Emilio. I'll give you a hand to get that out. Thanks, Jono.
Oh, he's going to hate how much you've stirred him up today.
No, you're cutting all that out, are you?
No. It's staying right here.
Sorry, Emilio.
Yeah, a huge privilege to have you, Jono. And we'll definitely, this is obviously what we want to do as well, have, people that have had big experiences that we can learn things from. And
100%, because I wouldn't say I know a lot about Vietnam War. I knew a fair bit of it, studied it in school and everything, and I took interest in it. Saying I knew a little bit more about some stuff like Agent Orange and stuff like that. But it's good to actually talk to you and get your side, your story, your what's that word? I can't think of it. Your experience. Sorry,
experience.
I mean, everyone's got their own slant on things. This is just my my outlook, what I went through. But blokes go through different things and have different memories.
Yeah.
And this is just mine. So it's good to talk to you, young blokes.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Jared.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you.
See you again, Luke.
I haven't seen you since I reckon I was about 10, 11 years old. I reckon last time was up the bush.
Yep.
Dad would probably tell you the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't remember.
No, I saw you at.
You said that
your dad's 50. Dad's about 50, coming up to 55.
Oh, you went to that, didn't you?
The 50th.
And Danny and all that as well.
Yeah, and your mum's 50th.
Yeah, that's how good my memory is.
I didn't understand what your mum said because she was going like this. I go, oh, that was funny. Somebody would sit there and go, it's a joke. I go, well, I think it was a joke.
She was doing her sign language.
Yeah, she's doing her sign
language. Oh, geez, she'll
wow.
love that. All right, thanks, mate. I appreciate you coming on.
No worries.
We'll get into something next week.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jono.
Thanks,
so,
John.
and you didn't get to say much. You didn't get to say much, but yeah.
Yeah, we've had Jono's partner New. Obviously, she's from Vietnam, so she stayed in the room with us, had a listen.
Yeah.
So
So you've got to go home now and cook some house cleaning. No. No, I've done all the housework and all the cooking. Oh yeah. So no, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Beauty.
Beautiful.
All right, we'll end it there. Thanks,
Beautiful.
Jono.
No worries.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you.